we'll say some short prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadkam Lam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Satam Sajivam साधवेतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चना गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरं गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Let's recite this verse. So we'll do lead and follow at least 2-3 times. ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यम् आख्याति पृच्छति गुह्यम् आख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणं षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणं. Let's have a couple more devotees lead and follow, please.
ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति
ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति
यम् आख्यति पृच्छति
गुह्यम् आख्यति पृच्छति
ते भोजयते चैव
भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव
षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्
षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्.
ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति
ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति
गुह्यम् आख्याति पृच्छति
गुह्यम् आख्याति पृच्छति
भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव
भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव
षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्
षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्. Anyone
हरि
else?
बोल.
I can do it, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Dadati pratigranati
ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति
guhyam akyati prachati
गुह्यम् आख्याति पृच्छति
bhunkte bhojate chaiva
भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव
shadvidham pratilakshanam.
षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्. Who else? Sheetal Mataji or Ravi Prabhu, you want to decide?
I can try, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति
ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति
गुह्यम् आख्यति पृच्छति
गुह्यम् आख्याति पृच्छति
भुङ्गते भोजयते चैव
भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव
षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्
षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So I think many of you are familiar with this verse, and we started it last time. So the verse says, offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So if you were not there last time, hoping you heard the class, but we talked a little bit about how Rup Goswami is slowly taking us further on this in this journey of devotional service. So initially, he broke our attachment to this body. He told us how we should control the body, mind, words. Okay, controlling our senses, mind, anger, all those things, vachuvegam, all those urges of body one needs to control. Then he took us one step further into how to live in this world, how a spirit soul, a spiritual entity should live in this world without engaging too much with the material world and just taking only the things that is nourishing for us, that is useful for us, that is necessary for us, not more. So not atyahar, not too much endeavoring, prayas, not too much talking or gossiping, prajalpa, not taking too much janasangha or association of worldly minded people. Like that, he told us how to live in this world. Then in the next verse, he told us, once you understand that you want to make progress in devotional service, then you should practice the path of spirituality, the path of devotional service with excitement, with enthusiasm, with determination, with patience. Okay. And by following the regulative principles and following the instructions or following in the footsteps of the devotees, of the acharyas. So, utsahan nischaya dhairya tat karma pravartanat jansangascha lolyam cha. So, um, did I mix the two verses? Utsahan Nishchay, yeah, Sangatyagat Satovritte, giving up the association of the non-devotees and following in the footsteps of the devotees. Shadvir Bhakti Prasiddhiti. So in this way, he told us how to stay firmly situated in devotional service because it's not easy. It's not easy in the material world to engage in devotional service. So then he's taking us one step further because he said Satovritte, Sangha Tyaga and Satovritte. He said that do not engage too much with the worldly people, but follow in the footsteps of the devotees. Sangha Tyaga, Satovritte, Shadbir Bhakti Prasiddhiti. So he's expanding on Satovritte. That, okay, I told you, you should stay very close to the devotees. But how to stay close to the devotees? How to have positive, useful, profitable interactions with the devotees, so that your journey becomes easy on this devotional path. It's not easy, we understand. So A of association is the first step. So he's giving us the sutras of interacting with the devotees, of having strong spiritual relationships with the devotees. Okay, so he gave us 6 principles of having very fruitful, very useful, very spiritual, very positive, sweet, loving exchanges with the devotees. So he says, give something in gift, something in charity. Charity means as a gift, and accept something from them. Guhyam akhyati prichati. Share your heart with them and ask about about their heart, about their mind, about their confidential secrets. Bhunkte bhojayate chaiva. Also feed them, okay, and get fed by them. So offer them prasad and accept prasad from them. And these are the 6 ways in which you can nourish a relationship with the devotees. These Shadvidham, these 6 are the symptoms of a very beautiful, loving relationship with the devotees. This is a positive exchange, interaction with the devotees. So we had last time we had talked a little bit about, very briefly, I had touched on how in order to make an advancement, we need to have these beautiful Vaishnav relationships because bhakti is not a isolated, is not a solitary path. You walk with people. And we use the quote of late Mr. Ratan Tata, that if you want to if you want to walk fast, then walk alone. But if you want to walk far, then walk with others. So since this is a long journey and we have to walk far, we have to go really far, we have to walk with others. So bhakti or Krishna consciousness is not a solitary journey. It's a journey with people, with like-minded devotees, with sajatiya people, people who are of the same jati, whose goal, who want to all establish a relationship with the Lord. Everybody, all the devotees have only one goal, and that is to have a relationship with Krishna. So all those like-minded people, when get together, then their journey becomes easy, faster, and they're more likely to get to the goal. Okay, otherwise people will fall off. So it's not an isolated path. So bhakti is a path of association. Okay, you walk together. So we also talked a little bit about how you have to be careful in Vaishnava association, because in Vaishnava association we come, we are conditioned souls, ordinary people. We have a lot of problems, lot of anarthas, lot of lower nature acts up, lower modes are controlling us, like modes of ignorance and passion are controlling us. We have bad habits, bad qualities. We don't have Vaishnav qualities and Vaishnav character yet. We are just learning about them, and we are just training. We are in training. So we are not like well-established pure devotees. So in any institution, we talked about how there is a mixed group of people who will have difficulties with each other because they're all bringing their baggage of previous experiences, and we superimpose those experiences, those perceptions, that mindset, that materialistic mentality in spiritual community. Okay, so we bring a lot of baggage and we dump it on the devotees in a spiritual community, which creates problems in a community, which creates chaos and disturbances in a spiritual community. So how to avoid those things is, well, those were the negative things. Okay, today I want to focus more on the positives, because this verse is actually focusing on the positives. So there are two or three terminologies that one has to understand. One is Vaishnav Sadachar, okay. One is Vaishnav Aprad, okay. And then one is Vaishnav Sambandh, okay. This verse is about Vaishnav Sambandh or Vaishnav relationships. How to have nourishing, positive relationships without causing any disturbances, without causing any aprad. And by practicing Vaishnav Sadachar, while cultivating Vaishnav Sadachar. So we will take several examples because it's very difficult to understand without examples. And our scriptures, all our scriptures, whether it's Ramayana, Mahabharata, Chaitanya Charitamrita, they are all full of beautiful relationships. So I will stop the screen share and we will try to have an interactive discussion. So out of these 6 principles that are given, okay, the Dati Prati Grinati, we can even call them 3, because there are 3 broad principles. One is to like give and take of gifts. The other is give and take of prasad. And the third is give and take of heart and mind, confidential aspects. So out of these, I really think that give and take of prasad is probably the simplest, the easiest. So let's discuss that quickly. Exchange of food, exchange of prasad. It is said that way to people's heart is through their stomach. And in Krishna conscious movement, that is actually very nicely tapped. We have very nicely utilized that principle, and often ISKCON is called kitchen religion, because we really use the principle of feeding people to get to their heart, to revive their relationship with Krishna, to revive their relationship with devotees. We try to bring them closer by feeding them prasad. So similarly, not only that we are feeding prasad to the ordinary people in the during our programs, during our festivals, and in the temples, but also with each other, also to nourish the relationship. Also, we nourish each other by feeding prasad. And this is one of the easiest, simplest thing that anyone can do. We can always, invite people and offer them some prasad. So this is how people bond. So this verse is about bonding between people. Okay. And it's a very sweet, very soulful, very friendly moments, when people are feeding each other. So now let me ask you, can you mention some pastime from, let's say, Krishna Leela or Ram Leela, where you can think of Lord um, feeding someone or being fed by someone? Any pastimes come to mind? There are many. Let's take quickly.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Mataji, Sudama's pastime where he bought the chipped pohe and Lord accepted it lovingly. That comes to my mind.
Yeah, and gave him so much, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, chip poha. It was very dry. It was not the best quality of poha because he was so poor. But Lord appreciated that gesture. What else?
भिलने के बेर
हाँ,
बेर
Pini ke bear. So Shabri, Mother Shabri,
सबरी
feeding
के बेर
Lord Ram
yes
with such love. Even jhoote bear bhi kha liye the Mother Shabri ke, right? So so this, and feeding each other actually also breaks, like, because sometimes spirituality or even philosophy like we're sharing now can become a little intense. It can become a little serious, and you start getting into that mode of impersonality, which Prabhupada has condemned impersonalism. Right, at all times we have seen how Prabhupada condemns impersonal behavior. So this impersonal type of behavior starts creeping into the relationships where we think, okay, it's fine, it's his karma, we should be detached, we should just tolerate. Uh, so that personal um, relationship, that personal aspects that Prabhupada has been hammering on from the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, sometimes that same personal aspect gets lost amid, the seriousness. So this feeding each other actually breaks that seriousness and brings very sweet, joyful, endearing, personal moments with each other. So that is what prasad does. What else? Remember the famous lunch pastime of Krishna with Gopas when they were feeding apne muँह से निकाल के laddu and everything, they were मुंह में डाल के, then they were giving it to Krishna, right? And they were all sitting around him. We discussed this in last Janmashtami. They were all sitting around him, and they were all feeding him, or he was feeding them, and they were having such beautiful, joyful moments. And that was the moment when Brahmaji got bewildered, when Brahmaji got surprised that how can Lord be accepting food like this from these little kids? How can this be the Supreme Lord? He's just eating so openly. So Krishna is showing us how to be with your friends. So if you want to have loving, friendly relationships with devotees, we are trying to make friends with devotees, how to have those exchanges. Krishna is showing us through Shabri, through Gopas, through Sudama. He's showing us. And then what else? There are so many. I want everybody to be able to share something.
I have few more, but whichever you want to say.
Share something, yes.
So there's the pastime when Lord accepts food with Vidura's house and not in Duryodhan's house. There
Ah.
is pastime.
So, okay, very important principle there. When this verse says the Dati Pratigrinati, this is talking about bonding or positive relationships with devotees, not with non-devotees. Those, the Sajatiya people who have the same goal, who are spiritual people that have the same goal, because eating prasad from each other is such a valuable tool, such a valuable resource, that if we eat from people with poor consciousness or that have offensive mentality, then what will happen is actually that will contaminate you. So he's making a point that I'm not going to eat in the house of Duryodhan. I'm going to eat because he's against Krishna. He's not following the same principles. So he will eat in the house of devotees. So there a very nice principle is being established by Krishna, that prasad actually has a very important role. Who you accept prasadam from shows who your heart is attached to. So if you want your heart to be attached to devotees, you want strong bonding with them. Whoever you want bonding with those people you should be eating, sharing meals. That's why we say dinner time is so important between family. People should eat together. So yes, Nagar Singh Babu. So he made a point there. What else?
There is the pastime of Nityananda Prabhu during Prasadam when he was joking and said, "What kind of rice is this to Advaita Charya?"
He threw the rice at him.
Yeah.
so it's joyful. You see, it's not that because last time when we were talking about how we should be very careful in the association of devotees, we don't hurt each other, we don't criticize or offend devotees, but it does not mean that we become so limited that we forget to have fun with them. It's not like that. It's actually supposed to have fun with them. It's actually supposed to be very joyful relationship. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand actually show that. Nityanand Prabhu takes so much liberties with Krishna. Gopas, or with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopas, Balramji, they take so much liberty with Krishna. They're teasing him, right? They are pulling his leg. You should be able to do that with devotees. It's not like very serious. No, you should be able to have fun with each other. What kind of relationship is that if you cannot be yourself, if you cannot have fun? So you cannot crack jokes, you cannot laugh, there is all that also going on, and Nityanand Prabhu shows that. So in order to break the seriousness of the moment where Mahaprabhu took sannyas and everybody was so upset, Nityanand Prabhu actually uh, took him to Advaita Acharya's house. Instead of taking him to Vrindavan, he took him to Advaita Acharya's house, and then they were eating together and he was making fun of Advait. Advaita Acharya had put together such a huge feast, like there was 108 items and more. And Nityanand Prabhu was making fun of him. This is all you got for me? What kind of grahastha are you? This is all you could put together. And look at this rice. This is so dry. Then he threw a couple of pieces of rice at Advaita Acharya. And Advait knew Nityanand's sentiment. So he's not getting offended. He started, oh, Nityanand, by throwing your morsel, your remnants on me, you have given me ecstasy, like Krishna Prem. He started trembling with Krishna Prem. So they were having such fun, such joy there. So actually everybody should read Chaitanya Charitamrita, because you can actually relish the type of relationships one should have with each other. We should know each other's heart when somebody's cracking jokes, when somebody's having fun, not to get offended, not to have that mentality that I keep getting offended or keep offending others. So yeah, that pastime, very nice. Advaita Acharya's home was a big feast. So
Actually,
yeah,
that one thing comes to my mind is I don't remember who it was. One very senior devotee was mentioning just in discussion. I just forgetting who it was, but basically they said that a devotee was asking them, or somebody new was asking them about really deep topics during prashadam, like things about like uh, more dry topics. And he said, actually, this is not during prashadam. We should honor prashadam and not have too much of serious discussions. That is one of the things I want to also mention. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah, but not prajalpa either, not gossiping and all this.
Like discussing Krishna's pastimes and all that is one thing, versus asking about good philosophy. How many elements are there?
Yeah.
How did the elements come into being? What is the the dry philosophy is not the should not be the ideal topic of discussion during prashadam.
Yeah, it is said someone can read Krishna book. It is always encouraged that when prasadam is going on, someone should read Krishna book, or Prabhupada's lecture could be going on. So yeah, so prasadam is a very important resource. Devotees are putting their love, their consciousness, their clean, loving consciousness they have, their devotion for Krishna. They're putting their mercy into prasadam. That's what you're getting when you're eating prasadam. Many pastime. Mahaprabhu's, Chaitanya Charitamrita is basically they eat, they travel, they do kirtan. So they're just over and over again, it keeps going on. So the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita is a book about personal relationships only. They have kirtan, they eat, then they travel. So a whole bunch of relationship dynamics you can learn from Chaitanya Charitamrita actually. And so that's about Prashad. That was one of the easiest one to cover. So I thought I'll bring that up. But then the next is okay, the Dati Pratigranati. I think you all understand also that it's basically exchanging gifts, but not exchanging gifts with the mindset that I'm going to put them in my debt, or I'm going to oblige them in such a way that they will that I can get favors from them in future. They will be under my obligation to serve me or to favor me in some way. So that's not the mood. The mood is to just please the other person. What pleases that other person? And so the gift does not have to be something very expensive or very large or very valuable. It can be something very small, just a tiny gesture to show your love for the other person in a way that it will please that person. It will touch their heart. You know that's something that will be valuable to that person, that will mean something, or a little gesture from me, because this means a lot to me, so I'm giving something very nice, very valuable, that of mine to you, so like it's a material thing can be a way of showing our love for the other person, but it is not in a mood to put other person in some kind of obligation or debt. That's not the mood there. Okay, so कि आगे से इनसे कुछ लूंगा मैं, या इनसे कुछ इनको मैं ये बोलूंगा कि देखो मैंने तुम्हें ये दिया था, now you do this for me, or that's not the mood there. The mood is a very pleasing, very loving, friendly, endearing type of exchange with a material object. So then the third principle and very important principle is of sharing your mind, sharing your heart with each other. So basically, guhyam akhyati prichati. So you ask and you share your own heart, and you ask the heart of other people also. So asking or sharing of heart means it could be many different things. It could be you are asking about their devotional service, their progress, their life in general, their limitations. It could be material limitations, spiritual limitations. It could be their anarthas, something that they're struggling with in personal life, in professional life, in community, in health related, any kind of limitation, any kind of or seva related, problem, difficulty, something that a person is struggling with, that they open up to another person about. That's called guhyam akhyati prichati. And that exchange is actually the most important, because there that person is sharing their inner deepest maybe even dark secrets with you, maybe even their limitations that they're not comfortable sharing with rest of the world, and you lend a ear to them. You can, not necessarily that every time you have to guide that person. You don't have to take the role of a guide or a mentor. It can be just two friends talking and sharing, not in the mood of gossiping. Okay, it's not about assassinating somebody's character. If it comes to that, then it becomes aparadh. It's about your personal struggles, your heartfelt, confidences that you are sharing with each other. It has to be done in that mood. So the motive should not be like assassinating somebody's character. So various things, when you share with each other, mostly we share about our own difficulties. And the other person is lending you their time. Very important. So most important for devotees, more than money, is their time. If somebody is lending their time to you, then you have to respect their time. So it does not also mean that when you're sharing your difficulties, you just start dumping your emotional baggage on them. It's not like that. Okay, we have to learn to let go of a certain baggage of the past, and remember that devotees' time is valuable, and whatever we are sharing with them will also affect their consciousness. So it has to be done in a way that you don't you respect their time, you don't dump your emotional baggage on them, and you don't pollute their consciousness, yet sharing in a friendly way, and perhaps seeking some guidance, maybe just asking for some type of help. Just read something with me, chant for a little bit with me, because I'm dealing with this problem, or tell me some Hari Katha, or share some philosophy with me, some example from the past times which can help me get over this, or give me some resource that can help me get over this problem. So it's done in that mood. So that is the most important aspect of this verse, how to build a relationship, like a heartfelt, strong relationship with devotees, because that is the whole purpose of a society. ISKCON, when we say international society, is to bring devotees together, like-minded people together. And so we have to build these relationships. Our movement is actually built on relationship. It is the purpose of society is to have relationships with each other, and to give those relationships to ordinary people also. Okay, and then ultimately the goal is to develop relationship with Krishna. But how can you have a relationship with Krishna when you cannot have relationship even with each other? So the basis of the whole movement is this exchange of love, begging for each other's support, begging for each other's mercy, for blessings and prayers and help, you know. So let's take now for the next 15-20 minutes, I just want to take some examples um, from our scriptures. Let's take from Ramayana, because I think everybody is very familiar. More than Chaitanya Charitamrita, everybody is familiar with Ramayana, so I will take that. So in Ramayana, there are 3 types of places mentioned. Okay, 3 places are mentioned, and this will tell you how Vaishnav Sadachar or cultivating Vaishnav qualities leads to good relationships. Okay. So there are 3 prominent places mentioned in Ramayana. Okay, the first is Ayodhya. Okay, we're taking Lord Ram's journey. Starts from Ayodhya, then goes to Kishkindha, and then goes to Lanka. Okay, there are 3 prominent places. In these 3 places, there are 3 types of consciousness. Ayodhya means a yudh, where there is no yudh. There is no yudh outside, but more importantly, there is no yudh inside. So the consciousness is very top class, very pure consciousness. There is no conflict in the minds of people. They do not have anarthas in them. Okay, those 6 enemies, the Shad Ripu, they don't have those. Okay, anger, greed, lust, pride, attachment, illusion, envy, etc. They don't have those. Okay, so so that consciousness is called Sanskriti. Okay, that consciousness is called Sanskriti, the one that exists in Ayodhya. Now, when I'm saying that's the topmost consciousness that exists, which means maximum people practice that consciousness in Ayodhya. There are some people like mantra, you know, there are always some rotten apples everywhere. That's okay. But maximum people practice this consciousness of Sanskriti. So, so as a result of this high class Vaishnav qualities they have, and very minimal anarthas, they tend to be very grateful towards each other. They tend to be very loving, patient, forgiving. They tend to express gratitude. They tend to be very merciful. There is no lying, no cheating, no thievery. People are welcomed with open hearts, you know. They tend to glorify each other. They tend to give credit to each other. Even if somebody does not do something good for them, they still find some way to glorify that person. What to say if somebody does something good for them, you know? So they are always glorifying each other. They don't put themselves in center, they put Lord Ram in center. That's very high class consciousness in Ayodhya. So that is what we saw in Ayodhya. Then the next, then let's take the last destination of Lord Ram was Lanka. In Lanka, the consciousness is very poor. Of course, again, there is 1 or 2 people that are very nice consciousness, like let's say Vibhishan, who is a devotee, pure devotee of the Lord. But other than that, maximum people have very demonic mentality. They have very low class consciousness. They have a lot of anarthas. They tend to be very ungrateful. They hold grudges. They don't forgive each other. They take revenge. Even if somebody does good for someone, they may still harm them. They're always hurting each other, you know, always exploiting each other, keeping oneself in center. So that type of mentality is called Vikriti. Okay, Lanka type of mentality, demonic mentality is called Vikriti. And then, so this is the 2 extremes, very good, very bad. Now, in our situation, as ordinary humans, let's say in a spiritual community also, even if we are devotees, the mentality is neither very good nor very bad. We are all struggling in between. And that is the mentality of the citizens of Kishkindha. Okay, Kishkindha, where all the Vanars live. So actually we have very monkey-like mentality, monkey-like consciousness, Vanar-like consciousness. So what their consciousness is called Prakriti. So Sanskriti was in Ayodhya, Vikriti was in Lanka, and in the middle is Prakriti. Prakriti means they fluctuate between the two, between the divine and the demonic consciousness. They struggle. Okay, there's a lot of struggle going on, just like in our life. Very much struggle going on. Sometimes they get angry, then they regret, they repent. Sometimes they hold grudges, then they let go. You know, sometimes they become very merciful, very compassionate. Sometimes they are very harsh and insensitive. They will only do good for others when somebody does good for them. So it's like a len den. एक Latin में एक term होती है quid pro quo. If you do something good for me, I will do something good for you. Quid pro quo, like len den. They have to be reminded to do something nice for the other. So they need a lot of reminders. They have to constantly train themselves, just like we have to constantly train ourselves, right? That's why we hear so many spiritual discourses. That's why hearing actually is the first process of Navda Bhakti, because we have to constantly keep hearing to stay in the perfect consciousness. If we don't give ourselves this daily dose of hearing of spiritual discourses, our consciousness slides. So we need this constant reminders to our mind that we have to upgrade our consciousness. So they fluctuate, they struggle. Okay, that's the Vanar like mentality, Prakriti in Kishkindha. And you will see that this consciousness, this seeps into their relationships. Okay, as a result, in Ayodhya, since the consciousness is so top class, they're always thinking of helping each other, loving each other, they cherish each other, they encourage and inspire each other, they're best well wishes for each other in Ayodhya. You see that seeping into the relationship. For example, in these three places, there are three sets of brothers. So in Ayodhya, there is Lord Ram and Lakshman, or you can say, Lord Ram and Bharat, not Lakshman, Lord Ram and Bharat, Lakshman also, but Lord Ram and Bharat. They are fighting for each other's interest. Bharat is saying, I will not rule. Lord Ram is saying, I will not rule. Bharat needs to be the king. And Bharat is saying, Lord Ram needs to be the king. So they are protecting each other's interest. This is going on in Ayodhya because of the top class consciousness. They are looking out for each other. They are protecting each other's interest. They are nurturing each other, encouraging, loving, cooperating with each other, inspiring each other. That is the consciousness in Ayodhya. So you see that seeping, that consciousness, that sadachar, those high class Vaishnav qualities seeping into the relationships as well. Okay, into the relationships like Lord Ram and Lakshman or Lord Ram and Bharat. In Lanka, also there is a set of brothers, which is, you can say, Ravan and Vibhishan, or even Ravan and Kumbhakarna. What is happening there? The consciousness of Ravan is very low class, right? Very poor. So what is he doing? He's exploiting others. So he's exploiting Vibhishan. If Vibhishan is a devotee of Lord Ram and giving him right counsel, Ravan is not ready to listen. He will kick him out of the kingdom. He kicked him out of the kingdom. So that tendency is very exploitive. Tendency is to take advantage of the other person and to use them for one's own personal agendas. And if that person is not conforming to your agenda, then they can be discarded. So use and throw type of mentality. You're not looking out for the other person's interest. So use and throw mentality. Okay, you are not conforming to me, so I will throw you. So that is in Lanka, Ravan and Vibhishan. In Kishkinda also there is a third set of brothers, Vali and Sugriv. So what is going on there? There, both people were fine, both people were nice. But what is going on? A lot of distrust, a lot of misunderstanding. Because once trust is broken, it's very difficult to establish the trust again. So since Wali's trust was broken and then Sugriv's trust was broken, if you know the whole story, they kept, fighting with each other. So they were constantly in a struggle. Both were fine, both were okay. But because of this mistrust of each other, because of this Varner-like consciousness, Varner-like mentality, where they could not, control their anarthas, and could not keep each other's interest in mind, they could not look out for each other's welfare, they were harming each other, right? So that is Vali and Sugriv. So you see that if we develop Vaishnav qualities, Vaishnav Sadachar, then that will seep into our relationships also. So that's why we have to work on those individually, personally, through seva and through sadhana. We have to develop this sadachar. And when we have nice sadachar, nice qualities, then that will be reflected into the society, into the community also, in your relationships also. So this, I just wanted to take those examples. Of course, Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam, even Chaitanya Charitamrita, they're full of such examples of beautiful relationships. I just wanted to take from Ramayana because I think that resonates with most people. Let's see from Bhagavatam, like if you can think of, one of the qualities is that of forgiveness. Can somebody mention that certain devotees that begged for forgiveness of the other person, even though that other person was very harmful and hurtful? Or any devotees, not just from Bhagavatam, any devotees who were begging for forgiveness for other person, even though that person was very was not of a very good consciousness. Okay, who can?
Hare Krishna. I can remember one situation, but there the other person's consciousness we don't know much about. But I know about the past time when Brahmana was passing, and who was it? Rup Goswami, who was in um, uh, meditation and in pastime and was just laughing in the pastime, and they thought that this person, this Brahmana was I think had a hunchback or something, and he felt that they are laughing on them, and they got offended. So I think then Sanatan Goswami suggested that you must have, so he could not enter back in the Leela, he felt. And then Sanatan Goswami said that you must have offended some Vaishnava. And then they invited everybody in the whole village and tried to set that thing right.
Yeah, that's one. Yes, I was talking about, let's say, Bhagavatam, very famous examples. For example, Prahlad Maharaj, he asked for liberation for Hiranyakashipu, right? Or think about Nagapatnis who asked for forgiveness for Kalia. So this is the character of devotees, even though those people were of low consciousness, hurtful and harmful, the devotees, we are made of mercy, right? We are made of mercy. So that's why we have to stick with devotees, because inevitably we will make errors, we will make mistakes. Last time I was sharing that it's not a matter of if we make a mistake, it's a matter of when we make a mistake. So when we make a mistake, when we offend someone, when we do something hurtful or harmful, it's the devotees who will beg forgiveness from the Lord for mercy for us. Mother Sita, in that pastime where what was his name? The one that had come as a crow, and Lord Ram was going to throw Brahmastra at him, but Mother Sita begged for forgiveness for him.
Jayant, right?
Jayant, yes, Jayant. So
Lord
that
Indra's son.
Nityanand Prabhu, who begged for mercy for Jagai and Madhai. So that's why such an important fact that unless we have association of devotees, when we slip, when we make a mistake, when we hurt others, when we cause harm, who will beg for mercy? It will be the devotees only. Those same devotees will beg for mercy for us, right? Nityanand Prabhu, Mar Khai Prem De. So he was hurt by Jagai and Madhai, yet he asked for mercy from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's the devotees that will beg for forgiveness for us. And you mentioned that point about Vaishnava Prad. Well, who are the devotees that were offended and they still forgave? Can somebody think of some examples? Ambrish Maharaj, Navya wrote in chat box. Yes, Ambrish Maharaj, right? He was offended by Durvasa Muni in such a bad way, but Lord said to Durvasa Muni that you have to ask forgiveness from the same devotee that you have offended. I do not have the power to free you from this offense. So you go ask Ambrish Maharaj. So Ambrish Maharaj actually released him. He said he gave him forgiveness.
What is that shloka that talks about from the mouth that you have spewed poison, the same you must drink the nectar, something like that?
Yeah, so that comes in Chaitanya Bhagavat, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that from the same mouth that you have drunk poison, you should now drink nectar. So this जिस मुंह से आपने devotees का criticize किया है, fault finding की है, from the same mouth you need to now glorify those devotees. That same devotee needs to be glorified from that mouth. So this is this is a tradition that we we cooperate with devotees, we contribute, we try to develop loving, friendly, protective relationships with each other, and not just interfere, disturb, annoy, agitate, not none of those things, not try to divide, not create divisions or obstructions in services, rather facilitate, rather encourage. So the association of devotees that this verse is talking about is a very positive association, so that the whole movement moves forward. Movement means something that moves. So the whole movement will move forward only when devotees have these positive relationships with each other. Negative relationships, matlab, the movement will stop. So nobody can move towards Krishna. So this movement is moving you along towards Krishna. And if you contribute, if you really want to make positive contribution, then you have to have positive relationships with each other. Let's take some example of when somebody was offended very easily, like they were for minor fault, minor problem, minor error, they gave a very disproportionate punishment in our scriptures. And remember that that's also an offense, right? To get offended is also a very big problem if you keep getting offended at small offenses. But can somebody mention some examples? They could not forgive easily, they gave harsh punishment for small offense.
Parikshit Maharaj.
Shringi's son, he gave Shringi, he gave very harsh punishment to Parikshit Maharaj, punishment of death, right? I mean, if you have a problem, you can discuss with somebody, you can try to unravel your heart and say, okay, this devotee did this, but like try to sort it out in your head or with some close associate, but not give such a harsh punishment, very disproportionate. What else?
We already discussed Amrish Maharaj.
Amrish Maharaj, Durvasa, yeah, tried to kill him, right, for such a small offense. Not even an offense, just a small discrepancy. Who else? What about Daksha? Daksha got upset at Lord Shiva. Actually, I had that verse somewhere. Daksha got very upset with Lord Shiva, right? And he blasphemed him in front of the whole association or the whole gathering there. And that's a very beautiful verse that Mother Sati says to her father Daksha, how you have offended my simple husband who does not look for any faults in anybody. I will pull it up very quickly. Anyway, any other examples? Okay, this you see in canto 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Mother Sati says to Daksha, here, the blessed goddess said, Lord Shiva is the most beloved of all living entities. He has no rival. No one is very dear to him and no one is his enemy. No one but you could be envious of such a universal being who is free from all enmity. Twice born Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Shiva, however, not only finds no faults with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault with such a great soul. So this is Mother Sati saying to her father Daksha, and this is the chapter in which she finally quit her body because she was so upset. So anyways, there are many such examples, and of course Indra gave such a disproportionate punishment to Rajvasis, right? Trying to drown the whole Braj. And let me open a couple other verses. Actually, I don't know if we have time.
Just one real quickly. Sharufnaka and Ravan were also offended caused of this agony for Masita.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. So they had a very low class exploitative mentality. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya Leela. If the devotee commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava while cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. So this is the problem with the Vaishnava Prad. And remember that the first offense we talk about in Nama Prad, also the first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy names of the Lord. So I'm just trying to give you two extremes. One extreme is where you're associating with devotees in a very materialistic way. You're fault finding, you are criticizing, you are, complaining. There are 3 C's: complaining, criticizing, and comparing. When you compare with other devotees, when you complain, when you criticize, those 3 lead to offense. So one aspect is that you're an offender. You're obstructing their services, you're creating divide in the community, you're interfering, right? So there is, that's all very negative. So that's very negative. So that's one extreme. So that Vaishnava Prad will have just no, it will lead to all kinds of problems in your devotional service. The other extreme that we are talking about, that this verse is talking about, is not only not committing Vaishnava Prad, but actually to have very beautiful, joyful relationships with the devotees, where you open your heart, you share your love, you contribute to each other's spiritual growth, you give them Krishna, you facilitate their spiritual advancement, you protect them, you love them, you care like you would care for your own child, you nurture them, right? Encourage them, give positive experience of Krishna to them, and then this whole society being on so positive gives experience to the outside people, to the ordinary people who have no such understanding of beautiful relationships like this. So first we need to create those positive, strong, beautiful, endearing, friendly, loving relationships with each other on one-on-one basis between all of us, and then we can take that out to the other people, to the people of this world also. But that's, I will stop here. There is a lot to be said. There are so many examples. Chaitanya Charitamrita especially is full of examples. Mahabharata, Krishna's relationship with Pandavas, how they used to sit with him, joke with him, tease him, pull his leg, like so many things they used to do. Gopas, how they used to have beautiful relationships with Krishna, very naughty pastimes they had. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had very intimate associates, Swarup Damodar Das, Ramanand Rai, how he would deal with them, what was his instructions to different devotees at different times, So in this way, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana, they're all full of so many examples. The ultimate thing that I would end with is that, and same thing with Prabhupada, if you read Leelamrit, Prabhupada had such beautiful relationships. Actually, it is said that every devotee has their own unique relationship with Prabhupada. And ultimately, because they had such strong relationship with Prabhupada, they were able to develop a strong bond with Krishna also. So you see, even Prabhupada was, after he was long gone, those devotees continued to serve the movement, and they have sacrificed their whole life for this movement, to advance Krishna consciousness movement, to spread Harinam and Bhagavad Gita, to give Bhagavad Gita and Harinam to everybody. They have sacrificed their life for that. But the reason they were able to do that was because they had such strong bonding with Prabhupada. So we should read Leelamrit, we should read Chaitanya Charitamrita and relish those relationships that Prabhupada has exemplified, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has exemplified, and then try to imbibe those relationships in our society, um, apply them with maturity, with understanding, understanding each other's mood, understanding the heart of each other. That's what we need to understand. Otherwise, if we don't understand each other's heart, we will make same mistakes like Mantra did. Mantra could not understand the loving bond that Ram had with Kekai. She broke it, right? She broke that loving bond. So if we don't understand each other's heart, each other's motives, each other's intentions, we don't try to expand love within each other's heart, then we create distrust and misgivings and misunderstandings, and we keep expanding that distrust and misgivings. And that once that is done, there is such a deep gash in the relationship that it cannot be filled anymore. So there is such a strong breach, strong divide that she created, Well, Lord Ram was Lord, so he was able to fill that gap, fill that divide. But if we have mantra like mentality in our community, then we will only create divides and create misunderstandings and just take people away from each other rather than to bring them together. So remember that we have common father, we have common goal, we have the common path, and we should show love, concern, regards for each other, eagerness to serve, and humility, and yet having fun in a joyful way. Okay, it's not like it's dry. You have to be very careful. Yes, you have to be careful, but that will automatically come by practicing some Vaishnav qualities, by with your proper seva, sadhana, sadachar, all that, what to say to whom and how to behave. When we are doing services together, how to do the service properly without obstructing it, without causing harm to the service or to the devotee. All that maturity will come in due time. So on individual level, we have to make our sadhana, seva, and sadachar very strong. And on community level, we have to act very maturely because we are in a spiritual path. And there is a very big difference between sin and offense. Sin can be forgiven. Sin can be eliminated with pious activities. Sin can be removed, but aprad or offense cannot be easily. Even by chanting, it cannot be removed. It's so strong. So I have to be very, very careful. But at the same time, we can have very loving, friendly, meaningful, trustful relationships with each other. So I will stop here. Let's hear from other devotees there. Their thoughts on this, please share in the next couple of minutes, then we'll stop. Okay, who wants to share? If not, we can stop the call. Nagachan Prabhu, Namita Mataji, Sheetal Mataji, Rekha Mataji, please share.
Hare Krishna. So very practical discussion today. Thank you very much. We need to work on this. Every one of us can always improve. Even the best always tries to improve. So we can just learn from our acharyas, and we can learn from even the senior devotees we have now in ISKCON and see how they conduct each other with conduct themselves with each other and learn from them. So places like Sadhu Sangha are really a beautiful window into the exchanges where senior devotees are meeting each other, and we see how even the highest people who are there, how they are conducting themselves with their god brothers, with other senior devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other thoughts? In Chaitanya Bhagavat, Mahaprabhu says, "My holy name, which is Kalp Vriksha tree, destroys anyone who once blasphemes my servant." The same name that you think is, helping you, that same name will destroy. This is a very famous verse, that my name will destroy. Here, another place he says, "Whoever once criticizes my devotee Murari will not be delivered even by millions of baths in Ganga and by chanting of the holy name." Even if a sannyasi blasphemes an innocent person, the sannyasi will fall down. All of his piety will perish. So this is, again, we are not trying to be aprad conscious, but we should be conscious of our conduct, our etiquettes. We should not become a source of disturbance, annoyance, agitation in the community. We should be serving in an efficient, contributing in a positive way. So that we are helpful to the movement, helpful to the devotees, not a hindrance to their consciousness, not a hindrance to their progress and to the progress of the movement. If you become, an annoyance and agitation, a hindrance, then you will see that these things, this taste will start going away because you're constantly offending. The taste for chanting, hearing, reading will either never develop or will start fading away. So, but on the other hand, if we have nice, beautiful relationships, we beg for each other's love and mercy and support, forgiveness, prayers, and then we advance. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he took sannyas, he asked all his, he begged for prayers and mercy from all his associates. He went to each of them alone. He asked for their permission to take sannyas. He went to Gadadhar Pandit, he went to Nityanand Prabhu, he went to Shachi Mata, he went to his wife. To each and every person he went and took permission before taking sannyas. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see how relationships are, it's not a dry path. You have to cultivate them, you have to nourish them. He sent Nityanand Prabhu and Haridas Thakur for preaching. He himself took sannyas but told Nityanand Prabhu to accept Grihasthashram. And he sent them for preaching. So how he requested them that please preach my teachings everywhere, please spread Harinam everywhere. So he gave different instructions to different types of devotees at different times. And I think Chaitanya Charitamrita is the best window we can have to the proper Vaishnava relationships. That and Prabhupada's Leelamrit, and like Nagarjuna Prabhu said, in modern world, we should go to the pilgrimages, we should go to Sadhu Sangha, and see how the senior devotees cooperate with each other, talk with each other, reciprocate with each other. Okay, Namita Mataji, you want to share anything? Not heard from you, or Sheetal Mataji, Ravi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much. You always go in details and also bring so many examples. So it makes people actually to understand it's very easy. Even in Bhagavad Gita Mataji in chapter 12, when Krishna started saying who is the best, like who he likes, who is priya to me, he says one of those keyword that you just said, don't disturb others and don't even get disturbed by others. So and then other point you just said about, अगर हम लोग भी बहुत सारा काम बढ़िया करते हैं, but if we do the निंदा का, I think the English word is probably what, blaspheme or something. Yeah. So then we lose our own, जो भी अपना पुण्य है वो भी छीन हो जाता है. तो निंदा नहीं करनी है किसी की, ना किसी को डिस्टर्ब करना है, and then keep on going with our own, like जैसा आपने बोला, associate कीजिए like minded. So yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. It's like, that is the key to become a good human being, good devotee, everything.
Okay, Haribol. Thank you, everyone. We'll stop. I have to leave. Very grateful to each and every one of you for joining. We'll start with verse 5 next time. Vancha kalturubhischa kripa sindhuve vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tat Bhaktaya Namo Namah. Shri Updeshamrit ki jai, Srila Rupa Swami ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Guru and Varanga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. See you
Thank
next
you,
week.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bye. Hare Bol.